Hello, good morning, afternoon, and evening, wherever you are in the world, and happy Monday. And that is if Monday is a happy day for you. Welcome back to today's live stream, and this is part of my 30-day career live stream challenge, where I will answer very interesting career topics, career questions that you may have, as well as good/bad career advice that I come across on multiple social media platforms that I think is worth sharing a little bit more about my practical experiences on whether I think some of these advices are good advices or some of these are just like plain BS advices that you should not listen to. So, welcome back to another episode. So, today is day 9 of our 30-day careers live stream series. And since today is Monday, I wanted to talk about Motivation Monday. So, if you are watching live right now, the question I have for you is whenever it's Monday, do you think of it as like Monday blues, or you're actually really excited to start the week? So, if you're watching live right now, let me know, drop it in the comments, Monday blues, or you're pretty excited to start the week. So feel free to share if you are watching live. And I think this is a question that I ask almost every Monday on my Instagram stories. Unfortunately, LinkedIn does not have stories, so I'm unable to kind of ask that a little bit more. But this is almost a consistent poll that I ask on my Instagram every single Monday. And usually the response I get is about 70%, bad day. Mondays are usually like really bad days. About 30% are still pretty excited about their jobs. They feel like they're still learning something, and the day is going pretty well. So which one are you? Are you still excited at your job and doing what you are doing and looking forward to new career potential in the at your workplace right now, and therefore still pretty excited? Yeah, I mean, it's Monday, like most of the time we think that it's negative, but I do definitely know a lot of people who are still pretty excited to start the week because they're just raring to go. Unfortunately, I'd say 70% of people, based on my Instagram polls, as well as the multiple stressful DMs that I usually get on Monday. These are the kind of DMs that I don't get on weekends, but like when Monday, Tuesday comes, like my DMs are usually flooded with like, maybe I hate my job, maybe this problem, that problem, da, 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 da. So I think like sometimes maybe it's a psychological thing. I don't know. Like when you go out there, enjoy your weekend, right? Then when it comes to Monday, it's like, oh, kind of back to this situation. The drinking, the partying, the relaxing, and the spa days and the escaping during the weekend. Guess what? Kind of didn't solve the real problem because you might not have been taking action to kind of like solve a career problem, right? And therefore, like the problem sort of like happens again on Monday, and therefore you're feeling Monday blues. So if you're resonating with what I'm saying right now, feel free to drop a comment and let me know. So based on what I'm sort of seeing right now, I'm seeing tons of Monday blues. So could be kind of a common thing as well. Okay, so now I actually want to share with you the two main reasons why you are feeling Monday blues, and more importantly, the actions that you can take, right? Because you know, it's really my philosophy that when you attend a free training, when you attend a free webinar, when you attend a free live talk, a free live stream, I hope that you really take something away from the session. Otherwise, it's just going to be like one side in, one side out, and it's then it turns from education into entertainment, which is kind of defeats the purpose, right? So what's really important is okay, maybe let's talk about the two main reasons why you are feeling Monday blues and obviously what you can do about it. The first reason is you don't see what is the end goal of your current job, right? So there is kind of you don't have an end goal of what you actually want to achieve in your current job, and therefore there is no motivation to do anything, right? It's like if you can't see the end destination, then how are you going to be committed in the journey? How are you going to be dedicated? How are you going to find the kind of energy to kind of walk the path? So what is the end goal? And one of the things I also always say is, like, you need to set your career GPS, because if you don't set your career GPS, then what's going to then happen is that, like, you're just going to be there at work just because you have to serve the 9 to 5 hours. You don't believe in what you do. You think the whole thing is a bit of a BS. You don't know where you are going, and the worst thing is then you'll feel stuck, right? It's kind of the trajectory of things in general. So that itself is a problem. So then the question is, really need to ask yourself, if you really want to like sort of get out of this situation, you really need to ask yourself, like, what what is the angle of this job right now? What is the angle? It sounds like a simple question, but to be honest, it's not the easiest question to answer. And in fact, right, if we were to go a little bit further, and I'm going to give you guys some bonus since you're watching live right now. I'm going to give you guys some bonus, and this is actually something that I teach in module 1 of my online course, The Corporate Survivor. And anyway, it's a 3-step framework to get clear, get confident, and get visible at your corporate job. So in phase 1, module 1, like literally the first lesson I teach and the first question I ask in the first module, even before we dive into like skills and yada yada yada, it's about what are the 3 main reasons why you joined this company. Why are you here? If you don't even know what are the 3 main outcomes that you want for your career, not for your boss, what you want out of your career in this current job right now, there is no direction. And it also tells me that when you signed the job, you were a bit hunky-dory, but you didn't really think through what is the value that you are going to gain from this job. And without that kind of clarity, Mondays will always be blue. It will always be blue. And I'm just telling you from, like honestly, because I've worked with people from, various seniorities as well. And even personally for me in the past, like I have had very, very intense jobs. And I'm telling you, very intense jobs is like never enough hours in the day, even if I was working at like 120% capacity all the time. So it's very, very high intensity jobs. And if you look at my LinkedIn profile, you will know the senior positions that I have done in my career. And I'm telling you, honestly, it's really challenging, but I'm always very clear what is the 3 main outcome that I wanted from that job at that time. So even though when the going gets tough, right, it's very difficult. Honestly, I'm telling you, it's very difficult to get external motivation, whether it's from the free posts, the free YouTube videos, the free content, listening to me talk, give you guys like tips and motivation. Honestly, it's really very difficult. So that's why career clarity is really important. If you have not done it, honestly, the best time, right, to do it, right, it's even before you sign the job offer. Because sometimes I mean, we're not going to get into like interviews and job offers right now. If you want more content around that, I have like tons of like podcasts and videos. Go Spotify and YouTube. But my main point is that like if the best time to figure out if this is the job that fits your career goal and your career goal is before you sign the job offer. The second, the second best time to do it is now, especially if it's Monday and you're feeling a bit like, oh, I can't live this anymore. Then you should really ask yourself, like, what is the 3 main reasons why you're at this job right now? What motivated you to even join this company? What motivated you to take this current role and actually convince you at that time, beyond the money, of course. I mean, there must be some reason. If it's just the money, then like DM me, we're going to have a separate conversation around that. But that's why, career clarity, especially the career potential of this current role that's giving you the Monday blues right now, should have been clarified before you sign the job offer, because that is the true motivation of what's going to keep you in this job, right? This job they're having Monday blues. The second best time to do it, I repeat, the second best time to do it is now. Because the fact that today's Monday, you are telling me, I'm actually seeing tons of like in the messaging, in the messages, like a lot of people are saying Monday blues. So the second best time actually is right now. So it's a bit of an indicator, because like how we feel day to day, especially on Monday, is truly how how we are going to approach something. So if you're not happy with something, if you're low energy, everything feels like sucks and everything else, and like you will not be able to like project yourself well at work, and then the performance just kind of goes downhill. Like it's a snowball effect, like down the hill, which is really not good. Okay, so that's really the first point. So the second reason why you are feeling Monday blues, and this is probably something that we can kind of fix. So I find that a lot of people they are now, maybe let's talk about confidence versus competence. So a lot of people, like if you don't have the skills, competence, or expertise to be able to do your current job, right? Whether it's a day-to-day task or it's an activity or it's like towards reaching a goal, right? A performance goal that is defined by this current role that you're in right now, then this means that it's going to be very difficult to be in a happy situation if you kind of can't do the job every day, right? It's not a good situation. So the second reason is really down to skills gap. So what that means is then you likely lack some skills. So it could be 3 things. You could be lacking knowledge. So maybe you're in a new industry or you're in a new company. Maybe you're just lacking some business or maybe some business knowledge or like technical business or industry knowledge to be able to succeed in this new job, or like this current role, or the role that you've transitioned to in like a year or so and still adapting and finding it difficult. The second skills gap, it could be technical skills. So maybe your job requires certain technical skills, right? And you're not that great at it. So it's going to take you more time to do it, and it's going to be really frustrating. You're probably going to make a lot of mistakes, and it's also going to be really frustrating because first, you're already taking a lot of time, right? So it's really annoying. And then you might get scolded by your boss or your seniors, because your boss and seniors are going to be like, how come you are taking so much time? And if you're not great with certain technical skills, there's a very, very high chance that you're going to make mistakes. And mistakes usually lead to lower self-confidence, as a result of, like, getting negative feedback or getting scolded. Like, none of these are like, you know, happy situations to be in. And if you guys are like telling me based on what I'm seeing in the DMs or in the messages right now, it's clearly not a good situation. So there's a third reason as well, and the third skills gaps actually are related to soft skills. So when I say soft skills, are managing expectations with your boss. Communication. Maybe you have some problems getting along with people. Maybe you have some problems communicating your requests, or like getting certain things from certain stakeholders or clients, and that can be really, really frustrating. I completely get that. It's really annoying. Or maybe you are lacking some critical thinking, or maybe some creativity to maybe do a better job, whatever that your job is, or some other skills, including maybe you are a very disorganized person. Things are just everywhere. So if things are just everywhere, obviously, you'll be under a lot of pressure, because, you are likely working in a team, depending on kind of like where you are. But I'd say that if you're in the corporate world, which like most of my connections, our clients are in the corporate world, you're likely working with a team. And therefore, as a team player, if you are a person who cannot deliver on time, or the quality of work is bad, is late, you're inefficient, you're ineffective, like all these actually have negative implications. So probably your days at work is, not going to be the the happiest situation, because you are lacking some skills gap. So you just want to be very careful, because like skills gap, regardless if it's knowledge, technical or soft skills, could get you fired, even though like you have the best intentions. But if you are not delivering the work as what your boss wanted to, as what was communicated, then technically you didn't actually do your job, right? Because you're kind of like hired to make sure that you deliver results in the best way possible. So if you're not delivering results, or as defined by your boss, then it's going to be very challenging. And that kind of like dynamic, to be honest, is really not good for both sides. So what you can do is you need to upskill and upskill. And I know that I like, if you listen to any of my podcasts or videos, I always talk about upskilling, but I find that a lot of people don't really know how. And a lot of people think of like upskill as just a random concept, but they don't really know like, okay, but like what do I do? So if you really want to learn like what are your skills gap, okay, now there are basically two things, right? First is you first need to identify your skills gap. In order to fix something, you need to first figure out what you are really bad at, right? If you know what you're not good at, then you're going to fix those things first. If you don't know what you don't know, then that is called trying to fix something blindly. And the chances of like doing something blindly likely means that you're not going to get any results anyway. So if you want to assess your skills gap, what I usually teach is the top 12 skills for career success. And these are basically in 4 groups. It's the communication, relationship building, critical thinking, as well as productivity. So it's 12 skills bucketed into the 4 buckets. So if you want to do a skills gap assessment, you can join my free training at www.growyourcorporatecareer.com, where I teach the 6 steps for career planning. So in step number 5, is all about the workplace soft skills. So in step number 5 of this training, I actually go through with you how do you assess if you have a skills gap. And I actually go through the communication skills gap as well as the productivity skills gap. So these are really, really 2 important components. So if you're not sure if you have certain skills gap, or you feel like, hey, I'm struggling at work with people or with my workload and I don't really know why, then check out this training, and probably give you a little bit more insights as to where sort of like your problems lie, and maybe help you figure out a little bit of blind spots as well. So once you know what you need to fix, then you can go and start fixing it, right? You can practice your communication skills, like you can take up a course, you can maybe watch more YouTube videos, or basically do something guys. Like if you're gonna like watch a live stream and like watch a free training and not do anything, then kind of back to square one, right? So the first step is, like I said, find out where your real problems lie, and then after that you can actually take action to fix them. So that's probably what I recommend. So in case you have just joined, welcome to my 30-day. Hold on, let me put back the banner. Welcome to my 30-day career live stream series where I will go live at 9 p.m. GMT plus 8, that's Malaysia, Singapore, and Hong Kong time, every single day in May, to answer any interesting career questions that you may have, and also to dispel some truths from the myths of good/bad career advice that I see on multiple social media platforms that I'm on. So that's LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and all these other interesting platforms that I do spend some time on, and occasionally I find things that I don't quite agree with, as well as some interesting DMs and questions that I get from you guys as well. So yeah, so if you have a interesting question that you want to hear a little bit of my perspective of, then feel free to drop me a DM. Make sure that you make a note and say that it's something that you want me to discuss in the live stream. Then potentially in one of those days, I may share it with all of you here. So thank you so much for joining live. So for all of you who are here right now, maybe tell me, based on what I've just shared, what do you think is the root cause of your Monday blues? Is it number one, you don't know what is the end goal of your job? That's number one. Or number two, do you think you may be lacking some skills or knowledge to be able to do a job, to do your current job? That's kind of like creating the Monday blues. So if you want, you can definitely feel free to share it with me in the chat box. Just tell me it's number one, like an end goal, or it's number two, it's a skills gap. So feel free to share if you want to. I think, I'm a huge believer in self-reflection, because if you don't, do any self-reflection, it's going to be very difficult. And also, it's important to also recognize that we all have blind spots and we all have skills gap. So I think the earlier you start, the better, because self-awareness is one of those really, really important qualities or skills that a lot of people do not necessarily apply, but it's really, really essential for career success. So self-awareness was something that I talked about in one of the earlier live stream episodes. So if you want to check out any of the earlier episodes, you can check it out on YouTube as well as Spotify. So I've already uploaded them there, so you can feel free to check it out to hear my other career insights on other interesting topics similar to the ones that you're hearing right now as well. So yeah, definitely let me know. And maybe also let me know, what is the one skill that you are planning to improve on this year. So today is it's already May actually, and if you joined the last live stream yesterday, I was talking about how over the weekend I got a lot of messages from people who finally realized that a lot of the festive seasons are finally over, and starting to want to seriously get back on track with their career goals, because you have another 8 months, if that, probably about 7.5 months left, right? We're almost at mid May right now, so probably another 7.5 months left. So think about the career goal that you have set at the beginning of the year, and where are you right now? Are you progressing, or you are feeling so overwhelmed and lack of clarity right now that, like, you are you're not just progressing against the goal, you're actually moving backwards. And that is probably a bigger problem, right? Because, it's that 1% improvement every day. But if instead of improving, you're kind of going backwards, I think you may have a more fundamental root cause problem that you really need to assess. So if you are just joining in right now, I did ask a question earlier for on whether, when we talk about Monday blues and like feeling so demotivated on Monday, feeling uninspired at work on Monday, which is actually the root cause. Number one is because you lack clarity on like kind of where your career is going, and therefore you don't really see what you're actually doing at this job, and it's totally demotivating. Or number two, it's all about you lack certain skills, expertise, and knowledge to do your job well done, and therefore your days at work is very unpleasant. And that creates a lot of stress, and that makes you really unhappy at work. So number one or number two, like, but the good news is that you can fix them. The first step is to recognize the reason, and then the next step is that you can then take action to get out of your Monday rut, get out of your Monday blues, and continue to improve yourself. Okay. So I think I see some questions as well. So let me see some interesting questions. And if you are watching this live stream for the first time, please let me know and welcome to this 30-day careers live stream, and hope to see you every day until the end of May of this year. So let me have a look. Right. So there are a couple of interesting questions. I'll probably select a few. So this LinkedIn user is saying insightful. Great to hear that you're enjoying today's live stream. All right. All right, so that's a very interesting question here, right? So the question is LinkedIn Learning worth it for anyone in functional or business analyst role? Having the courses and certifications, does it help build credibility of a person having a skill? Um, okay, since I'm sort of streaming live on LinkedIn amongst other platforms, like I don't want to say which course is better than the other. I think that every certification and course has its value, but at the end of the day, it's really how are you gonna rebrand the knowledge? How are you gonna position yourself in your resume, in your job search for your career growth using whatever that you have obtained? So there are two things, right? That's the first part is getting whatever qualification. The second part is learning how to brand yourself. And I find that for a lot of people, they tend to go down the first path and totally forget about branding themselves. Versus the other way, which actually I highly recommend, is to first learn how to brand yourself first without taking another paper qualification, right? Branding yourself versus taking a paper qualification is not exactly the same thing. Branding yourself is about knowing where your value lie, your key competencies and your key achievements, and to be able to package your career story and career journey in a way that can be understood. And usually that goes into your resume, or at least that's what I teach to my clients. Even before taking any certification, I always tell them that let's try the branding exercise first and then go all out with your job search and see whether it works or not, versus investing in a certification and with the hope that it's going to work, and after you take the certification it did not work. So I'll give you a real example over here. I actually had a client work with me for job search a couple of months ago, and when she came to me, she told me that, Mei Ping, do you think I should take an MBA, or do you think I should go all out with a more effective job search strategy for this particular job that I want? Should I take the course, or should I just try the rebranding exercise first? So my personal opinion is, I feel like if you can do the branding now, like why not just do the branding now? Because if you are going to take the course and you still never learn how to brand yourself, then like you're going to spend like 2 more years taking the course and kind of end back at this same point, if you get what I'm saying. So I always, branding and positioning is a skill that you can learn, and it's a lifelong journey. Like all my clients who have been through like the branding exercise with me, particularly in resume, LinkedIn as well as interview, like they don't come back with the same questions anymore, because it's a skill that they have learned, right? So it's something that they can take on as well. So that's probably what I would recommend. I think you should focus on learning how to sell your value first before you take another course, and with the hope that it's going to help sell you. The power is in you. You need to learn how to sell yourself first. Okay. All right. So let me have a look at some of the other comments as well. So I'm seeing another comment, lacking end goal and time management. So at the end of the day, if you are lacking end goal, you don't know what's your direction, and you're also bad with like time management and productivity, that just means that like you're lacking clarity, but you're also lacking skill. So you need to do both at the same time. But probably what I would suggest is always clarity first. So if you have already gone through my 6 steps for career planning, step 1, career interest and direction. Even though most people tell me, oh, Mei Ping, it's so boring, this whole career direction, oh my God, it's so boring. I'm like, but why would you start a car? Why would you start a car and start driving, waste all your time, energy, petrol, and everything else, and go around in a circle and like get nowhere? Like this, it doesn't make sense to me. So start with career interest and direction. Like, what is the angle? What do you actually want to get out of your job? Like, what do you even want in your career? Really start from there. Then from there on, if these skills gap, whether it's productivity, it's relationship building, it's time management, it's communication skill, if that is an important skill that you need for the next phase of your career, then you should upskill. Otherwise, like if you don't upskill, like you're not going to get anywhere anyway. Because I say that like there are some basic skills, and the basic skills that I teach are the top 12 skills that I told you in the 4 buckets earlier. To me, that is a skill that is like a cross. Doesn't matter what industry, what function, what company, what job, what level, you need all of those. So that's why that's something that I actually teach in my course right now, to set a very, very strong foundation, especially if you're working 9 to 5 in the corporate world. Hello, Oliver. Good to hear that you are continuously self upskilling. So personal development is really a lifelong journey. I think that if you don't care about your professional development, nobody can care more than you. It's reality. Nobody can care about your career more than you do. Okay? All right. So let's have a look at some of the interesting questions that I see. All right. So again, number one, right? Lacking of like career direction, like really what the end goal is in the current job is, I think it's a problem for a lot of people. I'm seeing quite a lot of comments here and there as well. So if you feel like particularly, after transitioning to this current role that you're in right now, you're starting to feel Monday blues, but you've never really felt this feeling before, then it's probably a much better indicator that the problem is with the current job. So this, I guess if you're in this similar situation, probably it's a lot easier for you to diagnose and say, okay, so it's not like a thing along your career journey that has been happening, but it's sort of like the situation right now. So if you're in this situation right now, I think you really need to assess what you really want to get out of this job, or you are actually lacking some particular skills, and maybe that's also causing certain overwhelm as well. So again, my recommendation is the same. I think that if you want to get a little bit more clarity on the step one, then you can definitely go to the free training, www.growyourcorporatecareer.com. So the first part of the training will actually go into step one, career interest and direction, and like, when you want to go and look for a job, and then if it's the right time, is something that I cover in the first part of the training. So if you feel that you need a little bit more clarity, you can definitely check out this training that I have. So let me see if there's any other interesting comments, because this is a live stream that is usually about 20 to 30 minutes. I just want to come on live because I know that I have not really been spending a lot of time like face to face with you guys. I feel like I'm not really doing as many videos. Like if you followed me on LinkedIn back in 2020 and 2021, I did so many 1 to 3 minute videos, and I think that has kind of like died off a little bit more. So yeah, hopefully if these live streams, we at least I get to see your comments, you guys get to see me. So hopefully you guys appreciate this sort of live stream sessions. And if you want to check out the replays, you can definitely go to YouTube or Spotify to catch up on all the previous days, and also make sure that you join me in the upcoming days as well. All right. So thank you so much, guys, for joining. We're kind of like out of time, reaching the end of the session. So good to see some really nice comments. I'm not sure why I can't see your name, but so this LinkedIn user is saying it's great learning. So hopefully you learned something from today's session. And yeah, I mean, if you learned something from today's live stream, let me know the one thing that you learned in the chat box. I really appreciate to hear from you guys. And again, great session. Thanks for sharing. You're welcome. So let me know in the comments what is the one learning that you learned from today's live stream, and let me know. I still want to talk about a lot more interesting topics in the coming days. And the other thing also, let me know if you guys want to hear some client success stories. I've been working with so many clients, but I have not really had the time to share their stories. Maybe I will use some of these live stream sessions to share specific client stories that I've been working with. Hopefully these stories can also inspire you guys. So if this is something that you want to hear more about, let me know in the chat box. Probably maybe next week onwards, I will do like a client success story series for like the next 10 days or something. So hopefully that's something that will inspire you, and also to show you that like no matter where you are in your career right now, like you can always improve, you can always move ahead. There's always a solution as long as you want the solution. Okay. So just a final recap. If you guys want to learn more about like career direction and all those things, you can check out the free training at www.growyourcorporatecareer.com. So step one out of my 6-step career planning process, we will talk about career interest and direction. So hopefully that actually gives you a little bit of clarity as well. And for those of you who have been sending me messages in the chat box saying that you think that you have a skills problem or you have a people skills problem, then check out this training also. The last part of the training where I go into step 5 and 6 is all about work skills, helping you to assess if you have skills gap, you have blind spots, and really thinking about your career growth strategy. So that is actually the second half of the training. So if you haven't checked it out yet, make sure that you check it out. And for those of you who may want to learn a little bit more, I do have a paid program that is the Corporate Survivor at www.thecorporatesurvivor.co, where I go through with you the 3-step framework to get clear about the corporate world, get confident by building the core corporate skills, as well as getting visible at your job as well as online on LinkedIn. So if that's something that you want to actually go a lot more in depth, this is actually the course that a lot of 9 to 5 professionals sign up, because they want to learn from my 10 plus years of experience on surviving and navigating, as well as in leadership positions in the corporate world. So if that's something that you want to check out, you can just go to this link, www.thecorporatesurvivor.co. So with that, I'll see you in tomorrow's live stream. Have a good Monday. Bye bye.